Welcome to the podcast Friday Feels, brought to you by the Office of Counseling and Wellness at Berkeley College. I'm your host and personal counselor, Sarah Nickerson. Join our journey with Berkeley students as they navigate the challenges of the current pandemic with strength, creativity, and wisdom. New episodes released every Friday. Thanks for listening. Dear, welcome to Friday Feels. We're so glad that we have you on with us today. How are you feeling?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So we always start off this podcast by just asking the student to tell us a little bit about themselves. So whatever you want to share, we would love to hear.
So hi everyone, my name is Deer Patel. I'm from the Woodbridge campus at Berkeley College. Within the campus, I'm heavily involved. So I'm parliamentarian for the Student Government Association at the Woodbridge campus.
Nice.
I am also the Model United Nations president at our campus,
Ooh.
and I used to work at Career Services, but due to all this, due to the pandemic, I have been released for the time being, of course.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much about me.
Nice. And you said you were at the Woodbridge campus?
Yes.
Nice. And when are you graduating?
I will be graduating in May of 2021.
Okay, so super soon.
Yep.
One more year. That's great. Okay, well, talk to me a little bit about the pandemic for you. What has been the biggest challenge for you so far?
The biggest challenge was getting used to online classes. So the past probably 6 semesters I've been taking on site because as a business major, I feel like talking to the professor is definitely, you retain more because they've been in the field longer
For sure.
than just online, because emails, it just, sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't. So, that's the technology aspect of it. But overall, it's been good, but it's been very restricting for me personally because I have a grandma at home. So, that's a big thing. Like when you look at statistics that the older individuals are actually, it's more lethal to them. So that's why me, my dad, and actually my sister have been staying in. Sadly, my mom's a chemist, so she has to go to work every day, but luckily it's about 5 minutes. But my mom does take all the precautions. So when she comes home, we definitely do want to make sure that my grandma doesn't catch anything. So even a little cold, but we like to, if we go out, we come home and we take a quick shower just to, just to get rid of, all like just the, how do you describe it? You don't want to feel nervous like, oh, give my grandma something. So it's kind of just like a safety precaution. So
Yeah,
that's about it.
for sure. Yeah, I can imagine it must be really hard having somebody in your home that's a higher risk and worrying about them and their safety and making sure that you're, being responsible with, your own health and so that she can be okay.
Yeah, that's the one nerve-wracking part. Like once this started coming out, it's just everything that I did, I had to think about like, what are the consequences? What action, like this action, what consequences could happen from this action? So it's very like, like just thinking it before I do like take action in doing something. So
Yeah, for sure. Have there been any positive changes that have taken place for you? Anything in particular that has been, um, you know, surprising or a good change?
there's been a couple actually. I've gotten close with my family because college, since like I said previously, I was working there, so it was always just I go in at 9:30, and then I come home around 8:30, and my parents have work the next day, so it's really they're already done eating dinner, and I'm just getting home to eating dinner. So I think definitely a lot more time to just tell stories about like my childhood and the past. So that was definitely cool. And also I've actually learned to start cooking, because when you're home all day, you don't like I don't want my grandma, my mom, my dad to always cook, since I'm home, I thought maybe I could probably take a little bit of the food, you know what I mean? Like just making food, just take it off of their shoulders because my mom still works. So that was a cool thing. And pretty much just getting closer with family, I would say, is the biggest thing that I could take away from this pandemic. And you see a lot of people, like I've talked to a lot of people via Zoom and stuff, and you can see how definitely like who really stays in touch with you through all this. And I've definitely had a lot of friends actually contact me. Despite this pandemic, we've talked, we've done crazy stuff like watch movies and stuff like via Zoom and different applications. So it's pretty cool just to see how technology can actually somewhat, I wouldn't say completely substitute the physical interaction with your friends and family, but it's better than, back then when there was no technology, where if
Right.
something happened like this happened, it would definitely be much more harder to communicate, especially. So I would say that's one good thing I kind of realized, that there's always a different solution to an outcome. It's not just one narrow road.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. What's like the best meal you've made?
I've actually have a grill. We actually tried making pizza on it, so that actually
Ooh,
turned out well from scratch. So that was pretty good.
nice. That's really good. Yeah, I love pizzas. The dough isn't too hard to make, but it's hard to make it good.
Yes, it's hard to get the consistency to like
Right.
make it like crispy, or like I don't know how some people like it, but like just trying to make it consistent throughout the whole pizza. Like one side could be, hotter than the other. So it's just trying to get everything, proper in like one proper way, I guess you would like to say it.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Well, what have been some of the things that have helped you to stay motivated and engaged during the pandemic?
I'm not gonna lie, in the beginning it was actually a little hard because, when you think about it, assignments are due, they open Sunday and they close Saturday. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, like I would have so much time, but then you look at the content and, luckily the professors were very like, they were understanding. But after like the first 2 weeks, I realized that, I started to make to-do lists because my best friend actually Audrey, my best friend. So she's really into the to-do list things, and she definitely told me, listen, you should start doing this, and this could help you manage your time. And now, instead of me cramming everything towards the end, I actually have like my Fridays and my Saturdays to just spend with my family.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's actually really cool. So that's the one thing I could say that definitely has helped me to manage my time in a proper way, since I have so much time in the world now.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, it's good to have our friends when their strengths maybe lie differently or than ours and they can help us out or give us some direction. It's really good that you're able to lean on each other for that support.
Definitely.
What are some of the things that you've been doing maybe as a hobby or for self-care?
For self-care, like before this whole pandemic, like once we officially like said everything was online, I was actually a little chunky guy. But during this pandemic I was able to, go out, when it's nice, which was rare in the beginning, but now it's consistent. But when it was nice outside, I'd go on a 2-3 mile run.
Nice.
I would run around my town, and then I don't have like a complete set of weights, but I do have something. So then I would just lift a little bit, but it's just more trying to get rid of the weight. So I lost about 11 to 12 pounds.
Whoa, that's crazy.
So yeah, and then just drinking my protein shakes every day. Like I haven't been able to like lift, but more of the running aspect,
Mm,
and just trying to lose that right now until the gyms hopefully open back up soon. But for the time being, I'm actually very happy with where I'm standing. I went from like, actually I lost more than actually 11 pounds. I was about 240, the doctor said, during my physical, and then I dropped down to 215. So I definitely dropped a lot more than actually 11 pounds. It was more than,
that's,
it was actually close to
yeah.
25, so which is
Wow. So
really
getting
good.
yourself healthy and taking care of your body, that's really good.
Yeah, especially when you have time, like you could cook different foods that actually, because like the healthy food, believe it or not, I think it takes longer than, some of these like unhealthier foods that I eat.
Yeah, for
So I feel
sure.
like, and especially since like being an Indian, like a lot of the foods are very, I wouldn't say protein based, but they're very healthy because it's majority of it's vegetable, and
Right.
it's like everything's fresh. Like you got to cut everything from scratch. The only difference is you just add seasoning, which is
Mm.
already done for you. But I feel like eating a lot more of the Indian food for me is definitely my key, because actually, a funny story, when I went to India 3 years ago, I actually lost 20
Whoa.
pounds. But the funny thing was, I didn't cut anything. Like I didn't stop the way I ate. Like, and my appetite was pretty big, and I never stopped the way I ate. I just lost 20 pounds because when you go like summertime here, over there, it is very hot. It's close to
Mm.
120 degrees,
Yeah.
and I actually was very fortunate to go to the Taj Mahal when I was there. So that was 20 degrees on top of what it was, because I'm in from Gujarat, which is central India,
Right.
and I went towards the north, and or north or south, but like I don't know exactly where it was.
Yeah.
But the amount of humidity, it was very dry. So it's like I'm wearing, because in India they don't believe in wearing like shorts wherever you go to like big places, so it's usually pants.
Ah, yeah.
So I wore pants and I wore a collared shirt in about 120, 130 degrees. So no matter how much you eat, you're gonna sweat you know what I mean? You're just sweating constantly. So
Yeah,
I'm very happy where I am, so
yeah,
I can't complain.
that's great. Did your mom or your grandma teach you how to cook, or are you self-taught?
I would say a little bit of both because it's a lot of like, just observing with how they make it.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. I've learned how to make different Indian food. It's just not really by, them telling me exactly. It's just by observing. That's the biggest
Yeah.
thing. Because with my families, they don't like to write like recipes down
Right.
like in a cookbook.
Yeah.
They're more of like the guesstimating, you know what I mean?
Right, right.
So it was a lot of guesstimating. So it's like kind of just like, okay, now I just got to kind of think how much would my parents or my mom or grandma put in. So then I kind of got the hang of it. There's a lot of trial and error when it comes to anything, like, and I definitely did learn how to make good Indian food. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. That's great. Well, is there anything that you find really grounds you or brings you a sense of balance?
I think the thing that brings me like that grounds me is very because my parents they would always tell me stories about how my grandparents coming from India to America it's a big leap of that you have to take, and just listening to stories of how they started, it kind of just grounds me and humbles me, like, listen, hard work is the only way to reach the top. So it's like I've been always living by that, and I'm a big
Mm.
believer in patience. Patience is a big key in my life. My mom actually named me after, so deer in Indian actually stands for patience.
Oh, I love that.
And so when I was born, I was actually I was very active, and now I've slowly started to mellow out and just very patient. Like a lot of my friends say that, like, everyone would get like, mad at different like situations or outcomes, but like they'll see me and I'm probably the calmest guy in the room.
Mm.
And I could definitely say that, listen to these stories, because no one could tell it better than your family, right?
Right.
So they've told me stories that very grounded me, and definitely they are they're the reason why who I am today. Sorry about that. So
Yeah.
I definitely feel like these stories, definitely helped me ground myself and just you know taught me everything I know today.
Yeah, stories are really powerful. They are definitely grounding and remind us of where we've come from and where we're going. I really love that a lot. That's great that your parents have passed that down to you.
Definitely, definitely. I definitely do. I'm pretty. Everyone does it. It's definitely a cool thing, especially a personal story. I guess, like from a family point of view, is definitely it hits more home than
Mm.
if you heard someone else tell you that story, like a friend, like, oh, that's really cool. But like when your family tells you, it resides in you a little bit more. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, my last question to you is what encouragement, advice, or resources do you have to offer other Berkeley students who might be having a hard time with the pandemic right now?
Oh, okay. So with resources, I would recommend use everything that Berkeley College offers. I've actually had close friends that work in the CAS, financial aid, student student accounts, and everything. So I feel like use all the resources that the school does provide you, because if you go to other colleges, you do not see this kind of, the way Berkeley College does it. You don't see it in a lot of colleges.
Mm.
And like tutoring is free, which is a really good thing, and they're willing to work around your schedule. They're willing to help you when through Zoom and stuff like that. So there's different ways to do that, and words of wisdom is manage your time wisely,
Yeah, for
because
sure.
I've been in that situation where I've blown everything off to the end. I've left a 10-page paper to do in 2 days. So like I've been through it all. Like I've been every emotion a high school or a college student will feel when it comes to procrastinating, finishing stuff before it's due. So I've been through all the. It's like a roller coaster for me
Yeah.
when it comes to emotions like that. So I've been through it all. So I would definitely recommend manage your time and network. Right, this is the biggest time. Like we were very fortunate to have professors in a classroom of 20, 25 people,
Mm.
and they've been in the workforce, right? For criminal justice, they've been in, CI, they've been, they've done it for years. Same thing with business, fashion. So we have a great opportunity to actually sit down with them one on one and actually pick their brains apart, and that's how you network.
Yeah.
I was actually very fortunate enough. One of my professors, he retired, and like the last day of class, he actually came to me and talked to me on how, he wants to start up his own company, and he was looking for maybe potential Berkeley College students when they graduate if they're willing to help him expand his business, which was a really cool thing. And that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Networking is the biggest thing. On top of working hard and doing what you got to do, networking is definitely will help you. A first impression is always a good way to start off with someone.
Yeah, for
Once you
sure.
ruin that opportunity, it's just then they already have a idea of you before you even talk to them more.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. It's always good to, I always tell people make friends wherever you go because you never know when you're going to need help. And it's good to have friends in all different types of places so that you can, be successful and also be well connected. A lot of people on the podcast have talked about the pandemic and just the importance of connection, like staying connected to friends, to family, to, other students, your peers, because that connection is what brings us life. And it's what brings us a sense of purpose and meaning and all of those things. So that's good to hear that, that's something that you're suggesting as well.
And even if you don't know the person, like for example, I'm a business major and I happen to talk with a criminal justice professor, don't limit yourself to a set number of communication. Always expand. Yes, maybe the professor may not be in the same like field I am, but their insight is definitely, it's a unique one, right? So like no matter what major or thing you're trying to do, they could always help you in something. They could open your eyes to maybe something that hasn't been solved yet, and maybe
Mhm.
he or she may be able to help you with the situation, and it definitely opens your eyes to different perspectives. So
Yeah.
that's what I definitely would recommend. Just like, it doesn't matter if you don't think they'll help you, but networking, because you never know, anything could happen in the
Right.
future. So, and I definitely do believe that. So
Yeah, that's great. Well, dear, thanks so much for being with us today. I loved your energy and the things that you had to share, and just hearing the ways that you've been taking care of yourself in the pandemic and the great success that you've made. It sounds like you're doing a really wonderful job, and that you have a lot of things that you're interested in and you're working on. And I'm excited to see what happens for you as you finish up your last year at Berkeley.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks so much for being on with us today, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you for having me. I hope you have a great day too.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
That's all for now. Join us next week for another episode of Friday Feels. Enjoy your weekend and stay safe. Be well.